I was choosing flowers for my big day when my phone made a sound. Mom sent me a message. Your sister Maya needs us more. We have to skip your wedding. No sorry, no sad face, just those cold words. Felt like someone had pushed me into freezing water. I didn't call her back or send angry messages. I just looked at my phone, typed okay, and put it down. 7 days later, while they were taking pictures at Maya's party, something amazing was happening far away. My wedding was starting in the garden of my beautiful house in Italy, a place worth $6 million that I bought myself. And when people saw my wedding pictures online, my family stopped talking completely. Before I tell you what happened next, please click the like button and write where you're watching this from down below. Because sometimes the people who should love us the most forget about us. When people ask what my childhood was like, I don't know what to say. From far away we looked perfect. We took happy photos together, wore matching clothes at holidays, smiled big smiles. But if you watched carefully, you would see something strange. Every birthday cake, every party, every story always went back to Maya, my baby sister. She was like the sun, and I was just a tiny star nobody noticed. I thought this was normal for a long time. The way Mom's face got happy when Maya walked into the room. How Dad told everyone about Maya's swimming medals at dinner. When I brought home good grades or won art contests, they would look at my work and then talk about something else. Mom used to tell me, "You're so lucky, Jenny. Maya needs more help than you." That word lucky always made me feel bad inside. It made all my hard work feel like it didn't matter. There's a big photo book at my parents' house that shows everything. Page after page of Maya in her princess costumes, Maya eating birthday cake, Maya at her school dance. I'm in the book maybe 2 times, standing at the side where you can barely see me. When I was 16, I found a picture where I remembered standing right next to her. But in the photo they kept, my face was cut off, completely gone. Mom said they did it to make the picture look better. I didn't cry that day. I just stopped waiting to be in their photos. My Aunt Clara was the only person who saw what was happening. She would tell me secret things during family dinners, whispering close to my ear. Don't feel sad, sweetie. Some people only look at shiny things. She had a special way of making me feel important without saying too much. My friend Emma from next door noticed too. She always remembered my birthday when my parents forgot. But being treated unfairly doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, like rain filling up a cup drop by drop, until staying quiet feels easier than speaking up. By the time we grew up, we had learned to talk without really saying anything true. When Maya forgot to come to my college party, Mom said it was just a mistake. When Maya took money from me and never gave it back, Dad said she's still learning how to be a grown-up. So when I got that text message about the wedding, I wasn't really surprised. Just showed me what I already knew deep down inside. My whole life I had been the one who had to change, the one who had to move out of the way so other people could be comfortable. But that night, sitting there reading Mom's words, something inside me changed. This time I didn't move. I looked around my apartment, listened to my fridge making its quiet sounds, smelled the nice candles I had lit to feel calm. My wedding invitations were sitting on my kitchen table, each one written by hand with golden wax seals. I had imagined them sitting on my parents' fridge with magnets. Now I imagined them thrown in the trash, forgotten because of Maya's fancy party. But under the sadness, I felt something new growing, a quiet feeling that this was my chance to stop asking them to care about me. 2 days after Mom's message, Maya called me. She sounded happy and sweet, the voice she used when she wanted something from me. "Isn't this crazy?" she said with excitement. "The perfect place for my wedding just became available. It's the same day as yours, but don't worry. You're on the other side of the country anyway. It all worked out perfectly." Perfectly. She actually said that word like everything was wonderful. For a few seconds I couldn't speak. I just listened to her laughing on the phone and understood that she was waiting for me to say congratulations. "That sounds great, Maya," I said, keeping my voice calm and flat. "Really nice for you." She laughed louder. "I knew you wouldn't mind. You've always been so understanding about everything." Understanding. That was my job in our family. Steady, calm, boring. The one they could forget about while they gave Maya whatever she wanted. The next night Mom called me. Her voice sounded careful, like she knew I would be upset but didn't want to feel bad about it. "Honey," she started, "about the wedding dates. Maya's husband's family can only come that weekend. She's very stressed about it, and it would be so helpful if you could change your date." Change my date. Another way of asking me to disappear. "So you want me to move my whole wedding?" I asked quietly. Mom waited before answering. "We just think it would be easier this way. You're so independent and strong, Jenny. You'll be fine without us." The words almost made me laugh in a sad way. Easier for them. Easier for Maya. Not once did she ask what it would do to me. "Mom," I said slowly, "you promised you would come." She let out a long, tired breath like I was being difficult. "It's not about picking favorites. It's just about what makes sense right now." What makes sense? Those words hurt more than anything else. Making sense was my whole job. I worked in business planning, helping companies figure things out. Making sense meant being fair, being honest, doing the right thing. But in my family's world, it just meant another excuse for leaving me behind. That night I called my dad. He answered in his usual calm, practical voice. "Jenny girl, you know how Maya gets when she's upset. If we don't go to her wedding, she'll be angry at us forever. You've always been the strong one who understands." I bit my lip so hard it hurt. "So it's my job to understand again. Like always." He didn't say anything back. I hung up the phone before I said something I would regret later. For a long time I just sat in the dark apartment. The only sounds were my fridge humming and the clock ticking. The light from my pretty engagement ring made little sparkles on the wall, like pieces of something broken that I had been trying to hold together for too long. That's when everything became clear in my mind. I realized my family wasn't mean in loud, obvious ways. They hurt me by leaving me out, forgetting to put me in pictures, forgetting to talk to me, forgetting to think about me. I had learned to think that silence meant love. Not anymore. I closed my computer, opened my saved websites, and clicked on a place I had been looking at for months. A beautiful stone house in Italy with olive trees all around it. The pictures looked like a fairy tale, with golden light on old red walls. If my family wouldn't come to see me, I would make something so beautiful they could never ignore it. The next morning I bought airplane tickets to Italy. No announcement, no message to the family group chat, no big dramatic goodbye. Just one decision made in complete silence. When my plane came down over the green hills of Italy, the light looked different, softer, like the sun was being kind. I got a small car and drove on curvy roads lined with tall, skinny trees until I found the villa I had only seen in pictures online. It was older than I expected. Stone walls the color of honey, wooden shutters with cracks from age, olive trees going on forever into the distance. The man who took care of the house, an older gentleman named Mr. Rossi, gave me a ring with many old keys on it. He said in slow, careful English, "This place has been waiting for someone who really sees it." For the first time in many months, I felt like someone really saw me. Inside the house, the air smelled like dirt and old wood, like a place that remembered everyone who had ever lived there. As I walked through each room, I knew this wasn't just a house. It was like a blank coloring book, a chance to draw my own story without anyone erasing parts of me. Over the next few weeks, I worked so hard fixing up the villa. I hired people from the nearby town who treated every old wooden beam and stone like it was precious and special. The sound of hammers hitting nails mixed with people laughing and bugs singing in the evening. Every night I would sit outside on the stone patio with a notebook, drawing pictures of how the wedding would look. One long table made of stone under a roof of grapevines, strings of paper lanterns hanging above us. No special table for family, no rules about where people had to sit. Just one table for everyone who chose to love me. The people in the town started calling me La Ragazza Tranquilla, the quiet girl. I liked that name. My quietness wasn't weakness anymore. It was my power. When I called my future husband and told him my plan, he didn't ask questions or say I was being silly. He just said, "If this brings you peace, then I'm coming with you." And for the first time ever, I believed someone really meant what they said. A week later I started sending out new invitations. Not the fancy gold ones I had made before, but simple cream-colored envelopes with real olive leaves pressed inside. Each one was written by hand, personal and true. The first one went to Emma, my childhood friend who never forgot me. Then to Aunt Clara, who had always seen through my family's lies. And one by one people started writing back to me. Emma called me first, her voice excited and angry at the same time. "We heard what happened. Your mom told everyone that Maya's wedding was the only important one. We're done pretending everything is fine. Tell us where to go. We'll be there." Her voice cracked in the middle, not from feeling sorry for me, but from loyalty and love. By the end of that week, airplane tickets were bought. Aunt Clara sent a message saying, "I've missed too many real moments in my life. I'll be in Italy, my darling girl." The group chat they made was called Our Real Family. Pictures of suitcases, passports, and happy emojis filled up my phone screen. For the first time in my whole life, I didn't feel left behind. Felt chosen. And somewhere between working in the olive tree garden and smelling fresh paint on the walls, I understood something important. This wasn't about getting revenge. This was about showing the truth. The morning of both weddings came with the same sun shining down on two different worlds happening far away from each other. In our hometown, the air felt heavy and nervous. The hotel ballroom sparkled with fancy lights, but something felt wrong that even the flower lady couldn't fix. Half the chairs near the front were empty. Mom stood by the door in her purple dress, smiling too big, pretending not to see how many people were missing. Dad kept looking at his watch, then his phone, then the door. "Maybe their planes are late," Mom whispered, her voice shaking, but nobody was coming. Inside the room, Maya fixed her white veil for the 6th time. Her bridesmaids stood around her, whispering to each other. "Where's Aunt Clara? Doesn't she always sit in the front row?" Maya's smile got smaller. "She must be running late," she said, but her hands were shaking as she held her flowers tight. The cameraman moved around awkwardly, trying to make the room look full of people. "Maybe we should move everyone to the front," he said gently. "Sure," Maya said, trying to laugh, but you could hear the worry in her voice. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ocean, the same sun poured light over the rolling green hills of Italy. The villa looked like a painting, stone walls covered in climbing plants, paper lanterns swaying in the gentle wind. The long table was set under the grapevine roof, lined with candles, wild flowers, and clay dishes made by hand from people in the town. Emma's children ran and played between the olive trees. My friend Marcus played his guitar softly, practicing a love song. Aunt Clara sat in the front row holding a small branch from an olive tree that she had picked that morning. "A symbol of peace," she said with a smile. I stood inside the villa, looking out through the big open doorway. My wedding dress wasn't big or sparkly, just smooth white silk that caught the afternoon sunlight perfectly. Sophia, the local woman who had become my friend and cooked amazing food, pinned a small branch of olive leaves into my hair. "For good luck and truth," she whispered. When I stepped outside into the sunshine, the breeze lifted my veil gently from my shoulders. All the guests turned around, their faces glowing in the golden light. Aunt Clara stood up first, her eyes shining bright. "There's our girl," she said softly, and for the first time I believed those words were true. There was no big orchestra, no planned dance, just Marcus playing his guitar, the sound of leaves rustling, and people who had chosen to be here for me. As I walked forward, I thought about every empty chair that used to mean I was forgotten, birthdays nobody came to, school events my parents skipped, quiet moments when I felt invisible. But here every single seat was filled. Every person looked right at me without looking away. The man leading the ceremony, a local friend of Sophia's, spoke in beautiful English with an accent. "Love isn't counted by how many people you invite, but by who shows up for you." Those words went deep into my heart. When it was my turn to talk, I didn't read from a paper. My promises came out like breathing. To the ones who show up, I started, my voice strong and clear. "This love is for you, for the people who believed in me before I proved I was special. For the ones who stayed when it was hard. Emma wiped tears from her eyes. Aunt Clara nodded slowly, whispering, "That's my beautiful girl." When the ceremony finished, everyone clapped. It wasn't loud clapping, but warm and real and full of life. The courtyard filled with laughter and the smell of butter and herbs cooking. Sophia's kitchen doors opened wide, and people brought out big plates of homemade pasta and roasted vegetables. The lanterns above us started glowing as the sky turned purple and orange. It wasn't perfect like a movie. It was real and beautiful. Halfway through dinner, Emma showed me her phone with a big smile. "People are already talking about this," she said, almost laughing. Photos had started going around on family group chats. The candles, the villa, the long table glowing under the grapevines, Aunt Clara laughing with Marcus's arm around her shoulder. Within just a few hours, the pictures reached my hometown. At the ballroom, Maya was taking pictures with her new husband when one of her bridesmaids made a surprised sound, looking at her phone. "Wait, isn't that your family?" she said. "They're in Italy." "What are you talking about?" Maya said, grabbing the phone from her hand. On the screen was a photo of me and my husband standing under the Italian sky. Lanterns glowed behind us, our real family smiling around the beautiful table. Aunt Clara holding up her olive branch. Emma's kids throwing flower petals in the air. Maya froze like a statue. The cameraman stopped taking pictures, looking confused. People started whispering to each other. "Isn't that Aunt Paula and Uncle Tom? I thought they were supposed to be here at this wedding." Mom looked over Dad's shoulder at the phone, her eyes getting narrow and angry. "What is this?" she whispered with shock. Dad's face turned white like paper. "It's Jenny's wedding happening right now." Maya's breath got fast and panicky. They went to hers instead of mine. Mom didn't say anything back. The silence got bigger and louder than any yelling could have been. Guests moved around uncomfortably. Someone coughed. The band kept playing music, trying to cover up the awkward feeling, but even the music sounded empty and sad. When someone made a toast about family being together, nobody lifted their glass. Back in Italy, laughter rolled through the courtyard like gentle waves as Sophia poured wine into everyone's glasses. "Eat, drink, and remember why you're here," she said with joy. Aunt Clara reached across the table and took my hand in hers. "I've waited so long to see this, Jenny," she said with tears of happiness in her eyes. "This is what family was always supposed to look like." The night got deeper, turning the sky gold and purple and dark blue. Someone started playing slow music, and people began dancing with no shoes on, right there on the stone floor. For a moment, I walked away from the party, heading toward the olive tree garden. The air smelled like wood smoke and purple flowers called lavender. The villa behind me glowed with light and life and laughter. My phone buzzed on the table back there. Messages, missed calls, voicemails I hadn't listened to. I didn't open any of them. I didn't need to hear what they had to say. In my hometown, Mom's voice shook as she called me again, this time leaving a message on my voicemail. "Jenny, how could you embarrass us like this? Everyone at Maya's wedding is talking about your little party in Italy. You made us look like terrible people." I listened to it the next morning while drinking coffee under the same olive tree where I had gotten married. The sun was coming up, turning the hills a beautiful orange color. I played the message one more time, then I deleted it forever. They thought the punishment was feeling embarrassed. It wasn't. The real consequence was me realizing that I had moved forward with my life without needing their permission or approval. The photos kept spreading online, shared by cousins, reposted by friends of friends. The image of Aunt Clara raising her olive branch became the quiet symbol of our reunion and new beginning. No words needed, no long explanations, just pure truth in a picture. For years and years they had cut me out of their photos and their lives. This time I didn't need to fight to be in their pictures. I had built my own beautiful frame and filled it with golden light. The week after both weddings, Italy became quiet again. The lanterns were taken down and put away. The laughter faded into sweet memories, but the air still held the warmth of what we had created together. The long table sat empty now, covered with dried flower petals and stains from red wine, proof that something real and wonderful had happened in that spot. One morning, as I was packing up the last decorations, my phone rang with a call. It was Mom. For a moment, I almost let it ring and ring without answering, but something inside me said, "Answer this, not for them but for you." Her voice sounded shaky and defensive, like she was protecting herself. "Jenny, do you have any idea how embarrassed we were? Everyone at Maya's wedding was talking about your event in Italy. You made us look heartless and cruel." I took a slow, deep breath, watching sunlight move slowly across the floor like honey. "I didn't make you look any certain way, Mom," I said calmly. "I just gave people a chance to see what was really true all along." There was silence on the phone line, then a shaky sigh from her. "You've always been so cold and mean. We were just trying to keep everyone happy." Before I could say anything back, another voice came through the phone. It was Aunt Clara's voice. "Judy, that's enough talking," she said, firm but calm. "You spent years and years asking this girl to make herself smaller for your comfort. Now she finally stood tall and proud, and you're calling it mean. No, my dear sister, that's called freedom." Mom said nothing after those words. The phone call ended quietly, like a door closing softly without slamming. I stepped outside into the garden. The olive trees swayed gently in the breeze like they were dancing. Sophia came out from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "Is everything okay?" she asked with concern. I smiled softly. "Better than okay. It's finally quiet in all the right ways." She looked toward the long table where we had celebrated and said gently, "Then rest now, Sonora. You've earned your peace." That evening, I set one last plate at the head of the table, the seat that had always been empty and waiting. I tied a small ribbon the color of olive leaves around the chair and whispered to myself, "For the girl who once waited and waited to be chosen and loved." The wind moved through the grapevines like a gentle sigh, and for the first time in my entire life, I didn't feel forgotten or invisible. Felt completely free. Later, as the sun disappeared behind the green hills, I poured myself a glass of wine and thought about Aunt Clara's wise words. Love isn't about managing people, it's about showing up for them. She was absolutely right. You don't need to fight and beg for a seat at someone else's table. Build your own table, and the right people will find their way to it, the people who really love you. If this story touched your heart, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me where you're watching from right now. And always remember, sometimes the quietest revenge is simply finding peace and living well. Hit that subscribe button for more stories just like this one. Thank you for listening to my story.